Just yesterday, 13 Palestinians were killed in airstrikes in the Gaza Strip, including 2 young boys, a woman pregnant with twins, her partner, a 10-year-old boy, and 9 Palestinian law enforcement officers. Now, we'll get to more details in just a second, but Cenk, the bloodshed in Gaza continues, yet we keep pretending as though the Israelis are the good guys.
Yeah, so they ran out of excuses. They said, oh, we're doing this because they attacked us 17 years ago. Oh, we're doing this because they still have hostages. Well, the hostages are returned, all the excuses are out. They're like, never mind, we're doing it to slaughter them and steal their land. So we're gonna show that to you now from the merciless, endless war and genocide creating Israelis.
And they have also moved on to doing the same in Lebanon, as Israel's politicians are saying openly, candidly. But for the purposes of this discussion, let's focus on Gaza. We'll cover Lebanon later this week. As of March 10th, 72,134 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, with thousands, by the way, still trapped under the rubble. So the number that's officially noted is still an undercount. And on top of that, at least 171,828 Palestinians have been wounded or injured. And since everyone is distracted with the illegal war the United States launched in Iran on behalf of Israel, Israel has taken the opportunity to essentially implement some pretty strict blockades and restrictions on travel for Palestinians. And by the way, that also includes volunteers in the Gaza Strip, like the 7 American doctors that remain trapped in the enclave. So no one can get in or come out of Gaza. And according to the Intercept, Dr. Salman Khan and 6 other American doctors were scheduled to return to the US on March 10th, following a 2-week medical mission at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. The group has been blocked twice from leaving the territory, with Israel's border security officials citing a security assessment without further explanation. Well, they're above the law, so who cares if American doctors are trapped in Gaza and could potentially get killed by the Israelis as a result of that. Now, Kogat, the Israeli military unit that controls the borders between Palestine and Israel, confirmed it had closed crossings into Gaza due to the ongoing missile threat, and said the restrictions are temporary and meant to protect people's safety. It refuted claims that it was blocking doctors from leaving Gaza to harm its civilian population. I choose to believe the American doctors that remain trapped in Gaza. The Israelis can't be trusted. They are notorious liars, and they're lying about this. Al Jazeera noted that right now there are more than 20,000 sick and wounded Palestinians on waiting lists for medical treatment that's unavailable in Gaza. They need to travel outside of the enclave in order to get that medical attention. 4,000 of those individuals are cancer patients. Maybe Susie Wiles would have a little more sympathy for these Palestinians, considering she was just diagnosed with breast cancer, but who knows, that remains to be seen. She won't, of course, because they don't see these people as humans. Because the American leaders and individuals who fill the halls of power in the United States are absolute monsters, and they don't see Palestinians as human beings. There are also nearly 440 cases classified as immediately life-threatening. They need to get out of the enclave immediately for medical attention, but they're being blocked from doing so. And because of these restrictions, they can't get out. And since the start of the genocide, the Israeli government and the IDF have essentially weaponized these blockades to further punish Palestinians and further their war aims. So the war in Iran gave them another excuse to do this. Once the US and Israel began their war on Iran, the Israeli government once again shut all aid crossings into Gaza. Food has been allowed through a single border entry point, the Kerem Shalom crossing, but the amount of aid allowed in is well below what is needed, according to the United Nations, which I believe is very much intentional. Starve people to death. I mean, Israel literally blocked all humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip for 3 months straight. And by the way, let me remind you all, this is supposed to be happening during a ceasefire. right? Like there's supposed to be a ceasefire at play. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed by the Israelis since the ceasefire. And according to Gaza's Ministry of Health, nearly half of all essential medicines totally out of stock. 2/3 of medical supplies have run dry. And those who are in line for aid, as we've learned in the past, are in line at their own peril. I'm gonna show you footage. Let's put the video up and I'll explain what it is as you're watching it. So the footage that you're viewing right now was leaked to the public by David McIntosh, who worked at an aid distribution site in Gaza. This was specifically the aid distribution sites that were run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And what you witness in this video is lines of Palestinian civilians who were being shot at by the Israelis as they were desperately waiting in line for food. So to the scumbags over at the Free Press, who do nothing more than perpetuate propaganda on behalf of Israel, making it seem as though the Israelis are the precious victims in this mess. You got anything to say about the video that we just showed you? Or no? These people make me sick.
No, they were, the Palestinians purposely ran in front of the Israeli bullets.
Of course, it's always their fault.
Yeah, to try to get the Israelis to run out of bullets.
Yeah.
So that's why Israel is actually the real victim here, as they were slaughtering innocent Palestinians looking for food because Israel had earlier starved them and their children. So that leads us to a couple of important things here. Number one, Israel never follows through on a ceasefire. Never. I've never seen them follow through. Okay, so they said did a ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon, violated it over 1,000 times. They bombed Lebanon over and over and over again. You know how many times Hezbollah did before this Iran war? 0. They actually followed the ceasefire, even though Israel violated it over 1,000 times. And there's supposed to be a ceasefire in Gaza, and they're supposed to give the 53% of Gaza back. Don't be ridiculous. They're never gonna give it back. They stole it. They're thrilled that they stole it. They're in the middle of annexing the West Bank right now, and they're violating the ceasefire, and they're back to starving the Palestinians. And then one of them caught feelings the other day, when someone described it as a concentration camp. Well, they're prisons. But in reality, the occupied territories are one giant concentration camp. Anytime, they'll say things like, oh, we gave Gaza back in 2005 to the slaves we've been imprisoning there forever. But they didn't even appreciate it, okay? They didn't give anything back. They couldn't control their own borders. They didn't have any military. And anytime Israel wanted, they could cut the electricity, the water, the food, the medical supplies, and they did repeatedly. It was a giant concentration camp where they could brutalize, humiliate, oppress, and kill those citizens anytime they like. And they did it again and again, and they're doing it now. You know who keeps 4,000 cancer patients who have to leave to save their lives?
Loathsome genociders?
Nazis do.
Yeah.
Okay, so like regular human beings go, oh my God, that kid has cancer. We gotta let him out. But Israelis, the new fascists of this world, go, no, we don't care about kids. We don't care about cancer patients. Let's start starving them and murdering them and never following through on a ceasefire and grab more land as we pretend we're doing self-defense. And we'll get our lying jackals in the American press to pretend we're the victims. Everyone on TV is a giant liar. Almost all of them are working for Israel. I mean, I got set off earlier when one of our members reminded me that Rachel Maddow, so-called progressive on MS Now or later or tomorrow, saying like, oh, we're really going to this war to help the Gulf states.
Right.
Oh, come on, Rachel.
I'm sure they feel.
Jesus.
I'm sure they feel helped.
What part of your check was given to you literally by Netanyahu?
That's amazing.
Anyway, so whatever. She gets paid tens of millions of dollars to spread those outrageous lies. So, and I give you that as the person who's supposed to be the most left wing on the most left wing channel in mainstream media. And what do we have? Nothing but propaganda for Israel. So 10 years from now, I guarantee you that Jewish leaders in America, I don't mean normal Jewish people, they didn't do anything wrong, nobody coordinated with them, nobody called your local accountant or your lawnmower guy or whoever, right? But the leadership, the head of the ADL, etc., and the heads of the AIPAC well, not AIPAC, they'll never apologize, okay? But I guarantee you 10 years from now, they'll be like, oh, we didn't know. No, you know, we were actually against the Netanyahu government the whole time. Did you know we were actually against Netanyahu? No, you know, no, we didn't know. Well, if you didn't know that you were murdering and slaughtering and starving these people, you might want to listen to the people telling you, but instead of listening to them, what did you do? Anti-Semites, destroy them on behalf of Israel. That's Jonathan Greenblatt and most of the Jewish leadership, if we're being honest, not most of the Jews at all, but the leadership here in this country has been in favor of genocide, disgusting wars, and doing whatever Israel commands of us, and they should be filled with shame. Yeah. Instead of saying never again, they're like, do it again and again and again. Okay, that's what they're saying as they slaughter these innocent people.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.